Namaste dear students, welcome to our YouTube channel Master Physics Academy. By learning physics here, you will master physics. Happy learning, ಒಳ್ಳೆಯದಾಗಲಿ, ಶುಭವಾಗಲಿ. A parallel plated capacitor has area 2 meter squared separated by 3 dielectric slabs. Their relative permittivity is 2, 3, 6 and thickness is 0.4 mm, 0.6 mm, 1.2 mm respectively. The capacitance is. Here there are 3 segments in between 2 plates. The first segment is of thickness 0.4 mm and its dielectric constant is given as 2. The second segment is having dielectric constant equal to 3 and its thickness is 0.6 mm. Now the final segment is having thickness 1.2 mm and its dielectric constant is 6. We have been asked to calculate the effective capacitance of such a capacitor. So what do we know about the effective capacitance? Is this 1 divided by effective capacitance connected in the series combination is given by reciprocal of sum of reciprocal of individual capacitances in the combination. That is 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3. Now let us substitute 1 by C effective will be equal to 1 divided by C1. What is C1? We know that general expression for capacitance is given by epsilon naught K A divided by D, where epsilon naught stands for absolute permittivity of free space, K stands for dielectric constant of the medium between the plates, A stands for area of plates, D stands for distance of separation between the plates. Now for first capacitor, so area will be A, distance of separation between the plates will be 0.4 mm and its dielectric constant is 2. So if you substitute for C1, we will be getting epsilon naught K1 A divided by D1, that D1 will go to the numerator. So here area of cross section is same for all the capacitors which are connected in series. So for the second capacitor, if you do the same thing, you will be getting D2 divided by epsilon naught K2A. For the third capacitor, it is going to be D3 divided by epsilon naught K3 divided by A. 1 by epsilon naught A is constant. I will take that out. 1 by epsilon naught A. And also D1, D2, D3, their units are millimeter. So 10 power minus 3 can be taken outside. So what we have left for the first term is the D1 value is 0.4 mm. So mm is taken out. So it is just 0.4 now. Divided by the dielectric constant is 2. For the second term, it is going to be 0.6 divided by 3. And for the third term, it is 1.2 divided by 6. Right? Okay. Now what is 0.4 divided by 2? It is 0.2. Second term 0.6 divided by 3 is 0.2 again, and for the third term 1.2 divided by 6 it is again 0.2. So therefore what do we have here is 3 times 0.2 within the bracket. So but what do we need to know is C effective, right? So let us take the inverse of this. So epsilon naught A is there in the numerator. So epsilon naught value we know that 8.854 into 10 to the power minus 12, right? Into area of cross section, that is given as 2 meter squared. So that is 2 divided by 10 power minus 3 is there into 3 times 0.2, right? 3 times 0.2. Now for quick calculation, let us consider this value equal to 9. And 3 3s are 9, it is going to be 0.2, 10 times is 2. So what the answer we are getting is 3 into 10 to the power minus 12 plus 4, it is 10 power minus 8 now. So this is the answer what we are getting, 3 into 10 to the power minus 8 farad. but the answer should be little less. Okay, little less. Why? Because we have increased the numerator for quick calculation. So if you check the options, you will come to know that option C is the right choice. Two resistances A and B have color codes orange, blue, white and brown, red, green respectively. Then the ratio of their resistances A is to B is. So for A resistance, what is the color code we have? Orange, blue and white. And for B resistance, the color code is brown, red, green. Brown, red and green. Okay, right. So quickly here the fourth band is missing. That means they have not mentioned the tolerance. Okay, that's fine. Only the resistance value we need to mark here. So orange means BB Roy. You may be knowing this mnemonics, right? BB Roy goes to Bombay via gateway. Okay, so this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Okay, so orange means it is going to be 3. Blue means, so blue we will be getting at this stage. Okay, so it is going to be 6. White means it is a final color, okay, sequence, that is 9. Okay, so that means 36 into 10 to the power 9 ohm is the resistance of A. So if you check for B now, okay, so it's brown is 1, red means it is 2, green means it is going to be 10 to the power 5. Okay, so 12 into 10 to the power 5 ohm is the resistance of the resistance B. Okay, we need to take the ratio now. So A is to B. A is to B will be equal to 36 by 12 into 10 to the power 9 divided by 10 to the power 5. So it is going to be 3 into 10 to the power 4. 3 into 10 to the power 4 is to 1. That is given in option D. Several lamps of 50 watt and 100 volt ratings are available. How many of them can be connected in parallel across a battery of a 120 volt of internal resistance 10 ohm so that all bulbs glow in full power? The idea is to get the 100 volts of potential difference across the combination of several bulbs connected in parallel. Let us consider that there are n number of bulbs in the parallel combination. So what is the potential difference we need across it? It is going to be 100 volt. The voltage across the parallel combination should be 100 volts so that the bulbs will glow in full power. The applied voltage is 120 volt, right? The applied voltage is 120 volt and its internal resistance is 10 ohm. The remaining 20 volts of potential drop has to occur across the series, that is internal resistance, which we may think that connected in series to the cell. Okay, so internal resistance of the cell should drop the potential by 20 volts. So this can happen when the current drawn from the battery is equal to, according to Ohm's law, I am going to get the current drawn from the battery, that is I. So it should be 20 by 10, right? 20 by 10. That means 2 ampere is the current drawn from the cell. Now the current drawn from the cell is 2 ampere. So that gets divided into each bulb equally. Okay, so the current through each bulb will be equal to I by N, where N is the number of bulbs connected in the parallel combination. Now I need to get the resistance of each bulb. So that can be estimated. Resistance of each bulb, okay, will be given by V square by P according to the definition of power, that is V squared by R. So V squared is 100 here, 100 into 100 divided by power is 50, right? So it is going to be 200 ohm. Okay, right. So what I got here is the effective resistance of combination. See what it should be, 100 divided by 2 ampere, correct? 100 divided by 2 ampere. So that means 50 ohm. I should get 50 ohm connecting 200 ohm resistance bulbs, n number of bulbs in parallel. So what do I know is R effective formula is resistance of bulb divided by number of bulbs. Then what is the n value here? So resistance of bulb is 200 divided by R effective is 50. So solving this, will be getting number equal to 4, which is given in option B. I and V are respectively the current and voltage in a metal wire of resistance R. The IV graph for the two different temperatures T1 and T2 are given. Then let me consider the graph here. I'll mark some voltage on the x-axis, say V dash. At this voltage, I'm going to check what is the current in each graph. So let me consider current in the first graph as I1 and current in the second graph as I2. So what we are observing here is I1 is greater than I2. That clearly indicates R1 is less than R2 because current and resistance, they are inversely proportional to each other. But what the knowledge we have about the resistance and the temperature of metallic conductor. If the temperature of the metallic conductor increases, the resistance of the conductor also increases. That means the temperature for the first graph will be less than temperature for the second graph. So that is given in option C.
The momentum of electrons having a wavelength 2 angstrom given H equals 6.626 into 10 to the power minus 34 joule second, M equals 9.1 into 10 to the power minus 35 kg. Mass of electron known to us and its value is 9.1 into 10 to the power minus 31 kg. But in the question, it is mentioned as 9.1 into 10 to the power minus 35 kg. So it is wrong, but whatever given in the question must be treated as correct and we need to solve. So that should be your attitude in the examination. So don't expect grace marks for such questions. Don't go by your knowledge, just accept whatever is given in the question is correct. But actually we don't require this data in this numerical. According to matter waves, the wavelength of matter waves is given by h divided by p. Therefore momentum will be equal to h divided by lambda. Just substitute now 6.626 into 10 to the power minus 34 divided by 2 angstrom, that is 2 into 10 to the power minus 10 meters. So solving this, you will be getting, no need to solve at all, you will get that it should be 3 point something into 10 to the power minus 24, which is given in option B is the right choice. The photoelectric current of voltage in a certain experiment is 1.5 volt. What is the maximum kinetic energy of photoelectrons emitted? See, this question is really ambiguous. What is current of voltage? I didn't understand this. Okay, so there is no meaning at all. The photoelectric current of voltage. So current of voltage, I didn't get it. So but thinking this 1.5 volt as the stopping potential, we are going to solve it. Okay, just to make sure that we are going to learn one more concept. I'm just doing this, but sincerely speaking, there should be grace mark for this question. Okay, so but I'm going to change the question just to get some answer. So we will be thinking this as stopping potential and we will be solving for maximum kinetic energy. So kinetic energy maximum in terms of electron volt will be equal to stopping potential in volts. So that means K max will be equal to 1.5 electron volt. Now we need to convert that into joules. It is going to be 1.5 into 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 joules. Solving this, we will be getting 2.4 into 10 to the power minus 19 joules. But the question is not clear, so hence I expect grace for this question. A ball is dropped from the top of the building 100-meter high. Simultaneously, another ball is thrown upwards from the bottom of the building with such a velocity that the balls collide exactly midway. What is the speed in meter per second with which the second ball is thrown? Let me consider this as the tower with height equal to 100 meter. A ball is thrown upwards with some initial velocity, say u2. This is the second ball, that's why I am writing subscript as 2. Another ball, simultaneously, another ball is dropped down from the top of the tower with 0 initial velocity. Both the balls will meet at the mid point of the tower, that is 50 meter from the top, 50 meter from the bottom. So that is the meeting point. Now let us consider equations of motion for the first ball. So it is going to be S is equal to u1t plus half gt squared, where t is the time of meet. For both the ball, that is going to be same. What is S value here? 50 is equal to u1t will be 0 as e1 is 0 and half gt squared. G is 10, t squared we don't know yet. So solving this, t will be equal to 100 by 10, that is 10. So root of that, root 10 seconds. So that is the time when the both balls meet. Let us consider the equation of motion for the second ball. So we have S is equal to u2t minus half gt squared. Why minus? Because as it moves up, its velocity go on decreasing because of acceleration due to gravity acting downwards. So now let us substitute. S is 50 equals to u2 t is root 10 minus half gt squared. See, half gt squared is equal to 50. Okay, from this, right? So directly I am going to substitute that. So u2 will be equal to 50 plus 50 is 100 by root 10, which is equal to 10 root 10 meter per second. Root of 10 is little greater than 3. Okay, therefore answer should be nearer to 30 and little higher. So that is given in option A, which is 31.6 meter per second. A charge q is placed at the center of a cube. The electric flux passing through the cube is. So very easy question. So there is a charge q inside a cube. The electric flux through it will be given by phi equals q divided by epsilon naught according to Gauss law. So the correct option is option C. A body accelerates from rest with a uniform acceleration a for a time t. The uncertainty in a is 8% and the uncertainty in t is 4%. The uncertainty in speed is. So we know that v is equal to u plus at, where u is initial velocity, a is acceleration, t is time for which the body is under motion, v is the final velocity. Since it is starting from rest, u is equal to 0. Now what do we know about uncertainty is delta v by v, that is uncertainty in speed, is equal to uncertainty in a plus uncertainty in t. So it is given that uncertainty in a is, that is error in a is 8% and uncertainty in t, that is error in t, as 4%. So adding these two, we will be getting uncertainty in speed equal to 12%. So correct option is option B. A parallel plate capacitor has a capacity C. The separation between the plates is doubled and a dielectric medium is inserted between the plates. If the capacity is 3C, then the dielectric constant of the medium will be. Here the initial capacitance is C and let me write the expression for it, epsilon naught A divided by D. Now the final capacitance is C dash. Okay, so we are going to insert some medium between the plates, say its dielectric constant is K, then the expression for C dash will be equal to epsilon naught K A divided by the new distance. New distance is double the initial distance, hence it is 2D. Doing this, we will be having the capacitance equal to 3C. So now let us substitute and evaluate. Epsilon naught K A divided by 2D is equal to 3 times C. C is epsilon naught A divided by D. Now epsilon naught A divided by D, epsilon naught A divided by D, they get cancelled. Then the K value what we are going to get here is 6. Therefore, the correct option is